Hello again, grown Black Folks Talk, back out on the climb on the last of the sunny moments before I think the fog is going to overtake my position pretty soon here. We'll see what happens. But I wanted, in the vein of, what have I been using my time, and how much time was that since June of 2022 when I left Themis and Thoth? And again, I've already shared my opinion on that last 2 days and also that foolishness in October. I've already said everything I have to say against Themis and Cynthia in that respect because of what they're doing. I don't hate them as human beings. And I always give credit. Themis and Cynthia, when they choose to, can do some amazing shows that really give access to the people to some information that we really need when they choose to. But my issue is they also can choose to set up abuse situations for Black women at will, and I'm not with that and never will be. Not June 16th, not June 17th, not June 18th, and not October of 2022 or October 4th of last year. That's that. However, how have I been using my time? I explained in the previous video that I redirected it into care of the elders, both in my family and outside, to bring some justice, greater care of the young people with whom I'm concerned with, to bring them more just outcomes, in care of me, spending my afternoons being in a place which is peaceful to me, and then being able to understand cyclical assets, of one of which I know a little bit about because of the book Seizing the Crypto Bull Run for Financial Freedom. Not a financial advisor, just an observer of how the cycles run. Well, the thing that also goes with that is what is not a part of my life. Do you know that abusive Black men are not part of my life? They weren't before that. Let's say I just invited them in for 6 months and decided to invite them back out again. It was good for me to know that that was what was going on, but that is not my reality. It just isn't. A couple reasons. One, they got moved up out of my city. They gentrified out while I wasn't. I deplore what was done to the Black community in San Francisco, but I also understand that a lot of the people sold out for the foolery. The people that sold drugs here, a lot of them were members of the United Guerrilla family. Felix Mitchell comes to mind. Some of those men are still deacons in different churches, and they have tangled with me and found out that that's really not what you want to do. Me and the church I'm in, they were still causing trouble and doing foolery, and found out, nah, that ain't what you want. One of those men actually wanted to have me beat up. Instead, he went bankrupt and paid for the privilege of going out the door. I don't have time in my life for men like that. That's not what I grew up under, because my father was not that kind of man, and he stood an extra 20 years in military readiness to make sure that those type of men were never going to bother me, my mom, my sister. No, that's not part of my reality every day. I don't make it my business to deal with abusive men telling me what I can have and what I can't have. Nah, daddy, granddaddy, mama, grandmother made it so that was never going to be part of my life, period. I don't have any reason to try to listen to a man acting a fool to get what I need out of life. You know what? I also don't need that, because the Lord Jesus Christ is real. And because he said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Food, clothing, shelter, everything you need. Matthew 6:33. I learned that as a very small child. I have no reason for any mortal to sit up here trying to handicap my prospects in life for any reason. So ain't no way in the world I don't put up with men like that on my online space. If you act a fool on YouTube or Facebook, I just block you up. If I get some vibes that don't feel good, I go through your social media page, find the evidence I need to find, block you, and report you. I've reported people up even to the FBI and sat and smiled while their pages got yanked down. I do not deal with the foolery. So there's no longer any reason for me to make any kind of exception at all. And I don't. The harder one was dealing with the handmaids of these silly men. A lot of us as Black women do not think we can do any better, so it's understandable. But also, it doesn't matter how that particular evil is vectored into my life, I refuse it. See, I grew up in a church which had a whole lot of women who, of course, being generations older than me, were raised to be just as dangerous to Black women and children as the men were. And in some ways, most, because when you look for mentorship, where you're going to get savage, that really can mess you up. Well, Because my parents and grandparents protected me, there was a limit to how much people could do over a certain age. But then they started things, and as people do, you don't always know what to tell people when you're young. Been through that. But then I stayed and got older and got stronger. And with deep regret for them, when they started trying to do things like that to the younger generation of children, they ran into me. I do not permit that energy in my life. Now, what I will do is give people a certain amount of time to figure out where they stand. But everybody knows who has been around me with Themis and Thoth. My strong block right hand, I ain't got a pimp hand because I don't do that. I just told you what happened to some men of that mindset who thought they were going to roll up on me and my community and the people that I protect. No, I don't do none of that. I don't have to have a pimp hand. I got something stronger than that. I got the Lord Jesus himself backing up that hand. I'm not going to be bothered with that. But I will let people, what did Confidence with Love say the other day? You can't talk your way out of a situation you behaved your way into. I've dealt with that all my life. I do not intend to deal with it in my online life at all. That took longer. Some of us tried and tried and tried again to form community after I left. But see, again, we talked about how many different hours you have if you stay in an environment with foolery versus not. What happens over time is you rewire your brain. My brain works differently than it did in 2022 because I've put in time out here. I've stayed on a wall with working with the senior housing that I work with and the foundations we've been able to start in addition to that and learning the things I need to learn. I've stayed with understanding crypto and cyclical assets. I've stayed coming out here and seen through now 3 full years of 4 full seasons, what I'm trying to say, of how God provides for all of his creation and how I had strawberries on the way in here. How I can come out here and have breakfast, lunch, and by July, August, dinner if I want. For free. Provided we understand that at some point I got to go back and get the protein that goes with all that fruit. But understand it is possible. I look at how the seasons work and how everything is provided for and how Matthew 6:33 has to be true. I come out here, I take beautiful photographs, I'm able to encourage other people, and I'm able to be paid a little bit for them because I have that connection on Hive to do that. And Hive is giving me links to other possibilities as well now. Other platforms open their door to cross-posting. So I can go back and do what I've done for years and make money from the same things, but it stayed with staying with it and paying attention. Staying with it and paying attention. And now we have links between Hive and Bitcoin. So not only am I earning money on Hive, in Hive, but now have links to earn Bitcoin in Hive. And we talking about, Bitcoin divides down into 100 million Satoshis, like the dollar divides in 100 cents. So no, we're still not talking about, we're talking about pennies in essence. We're not talking about large amounts. But ask yourself this question. If you were to redirect between 750 and 1,800 hours of your time, and for each of those hours, let's say you picked up 10 cents, that's at least enough to go to a couple lunches in San Francisco now, isn't it? I believe you to do that math on your own. Done a little better than that, but that's a nice metric. And this is also why people overlook opportunity, because they do not see it's not going to solve my problem immediately. So why should I be bothered? Let me go over here and cope. This is why people do not solve their problems, because problems generally are incremental in their behavior. For African Americans, our problems have been incrementally beginning since our ancestors were brought here in 1619. So it's going to take a little bit of doing to get out of a problem like that. It's not something that you can expect to have happen immediately. I don't know what to say about this. A quick fix is not what fixes anything when you're in a situation like that. But I don't have to deal with that kind of energy in my life right now. I have time to invest this summer into really digging back into my lifetime as a musician. In the years between 2022 and 2025, I have gotten to know some very quality people in the world of music. I knew them before that, but I've had time to invest in it. And today, I'm completing a small commission. Haven't had time, wouldn't have had time to do any of that in 2022. And it wouldn't have been Themis and Thought's fault. Everything was happening in senior housing too. Would have had my head clear. But after 3 years, I can kind of sit down, figure out what I'm going to write. And in my head, I've sketched it a bunch of times. And even though I think more like Beethoven, I can sketch like Mozart. Just write the thing out. With a little bit of being more like Beethoven sitting up there polishing the thing. Because, it could always be one note better. But, sometimes you have to let it go. So that's going to happen today. And so have open doors to very high level musicians. And to be able to build relationships with these people, I didn't just choose to work with them because they were high level musicians. I'm choosing to work with them because I admire them as people. And I've had time to get to know them as people. And to have them share with me what they're trying to accomplish. I also have time to begin to put together an album that's very meaningful to me. Actually, two. Like I told y'all in the previous video, I had time to sit down and write my entire book. I've written out a plan for 2 albums and what I want to be able to do with them. And that'll be maybe my summer fall project to just get that done. So that it'll be out here for y'all to enjoy maybe by Christmas. But again, kind of the Beethoven-ish part of me is sort of sitting here, there's always one more thing we can do. But, have time to really lean back into that part of my life. That's another thing. To be able to come out here. Oops, his wind is terrible. Although you can't really, I'm sitting in a protected place from it at least. But to be able to just come out and clear my mind and really be able to be creative. Not just in terms of the music that I hear, but in terms of being able to sit down and plan out what I'm going to do next and having projects come together. That's the second or third time that I've just been journaling and praying to the Lord and telling him thank you for how he's taking care of me and here's some of the things I want to do. And he basically delivered me a whole project. That's the second or third time that's happened in 3 years. Obviously, even understanding that these are still what games of pennies, streaming revenue is pathetic. That's a whole other video. Obviously, though, if you continue to do these things over the course of time, you're able to live a different kind of life. As I shared with you last time, I was talking with Judge Alicia Thomas about how you slowly, if you have income at all, you slowly and consistently can begin to build investment into your life so that you can be relieved of the need to constantly be working, wearing your body down, all the rest. It begins to transition you away because eventually, if you do your investments well and you got to stay on top of them, even a cyclical investor, cycles can change. But if you stay on top of things, you may not have the dreams of avarice. I may not be able to, soft life as it is with luxury, with consumer goods and all the rest of that. I may not be able to do that. I still will go to Goodwill and go off the vintage racks. And one of the elders of the church was telling me about Ross as a clearance rack. My mother and I have lost enough weight that we need to update our wardrobe. We still might not go to Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom's, and if you knew the history of those, you might not want to do that anyway. And how they treated our people back in the day, you might not want to do that anyway. But, I'm still going to be frugal. But, if I want to go do something nice for myself, if I want to go to, and this happened, and y'all haven't seen it yet, but you want to support a little artisan who has something that's on the clearance rack that's a little bit more than, let's say, $40. You can do that. To be able to have that kind of freedom, to be able to live in such a way that you can allow yourself time to rest, time to sit in places like I'm in now, be here under this beautiful sunshine and rest and listen to the wind. This is what I have in my ears now. I will never be listening to black men and black women talking to black women about why they need to be abused and accept abuse again. I never need to do that. That's not part of my reality. Black women making money said that. For a lot of black women, we just have to not invite it into our lives. I've uncovered ways that black women can help themselves get out of these situations over time. I live a quiet and peaceful life. No, I do not have enough money to do the consumer dreams and to chase status that way. I don't. I am not planning to have it. I enjoy the service that I'm doing to multiple generations of black people. I get so much out of that. I'm dealing with the awesome privilege of fighting for every golden day my parents can still have. But they're still getting older. And I don't need any more stress in my life than the results of that are going to bring me. Because they have to grow old and they have to die. I need to spend even more time investing in the relationships with people who are on a positive level, who are going to provide me the support that I need. And these are things I'm able to do because I reinvested between 750 and 1,800 hours of my time. And I mentioned this to you because, again, I'm going to break it down like I did at the end of the last video. You too can set aside 5 hours a week. You can do it an hour a day. I'm not saying you miss your favorite web shows. Nope. I'm not telling anybody to stop listening to Themes and Thought. I'm saying here's a solution. 5 hours a day redirected is what? An hour a day that you redirect into something that's positive, that's not you having nonsense in your ears, people coming along telling you what you're worth, people arguing about these things. 5 hours a day is 10 hours, 5 hours a week. That's an hour for every business day, 5 times a week. It's less than an hour every day. You still get your weekends. 10 hours, okay, well, that's every day of the week and some days too. Or you just take 2 hours, 5 days a week and invest in something different that's going to help you solve a problem. Now, I'm also going to add something that I said to a friend of mine who was just, get overwhelmed by starting. It's something I used to deal with as well. And I still take my time starting things because I'm one of those people that if I start, I want to be able to follow through. But you break it down mentally into the smallest possible manageable safe steps. Take all of those. Take the momentum of those and then go to the next manageable set of safe steps. And, well, they may seem safer now because you started. And the thing is, it's like climbing a hill, except the hill is going down as you climb it. Author Terrence A. Mann, whose two books I've edited, said, do what you fear, watch it disappear. That's a true thing. As you break it down to manageable steps and just consistently take those small steps, the fear that holds us back breaks down as we gain some momentum. So yes, it's a steep hill, but as you climb it, it becomes less steep. You make progress by breaking things down. So redirecting 5 hours a week doesn't necessarily cost you your favorite online show or online creator. What it does cost you is just working out how you're going to work it out. Now, I have a counselor that I'm seeing now, and she allotted me an assignment to redirect more time to just deal with loads of grief that I'm dealing with just for the past 3 years to a decade. I got a phone call and somebody told me something. I'm like, say what happened? And that's been rolling for a decade. Still not quite done. She's like, take time every day, make a schedule. So what my next big step in life is to come up with a day and hour planner. So I can schedule time to sit down with me and just acknowledge and deal with how I really feel about a lot of situations. So that I can begin to learn how to unburden these levels of grief that I experience without it taking years and months, because things can compound. One of the musicians I'm going to be working with in the coming days and weeks this year lost both his parents pretty much back to back. You don't always get time to breathe. So I continue to redirect time and to use it more wisely. And it helps tremendously that I am not having to offload foolishness. Oh, I probably should also mention, I know that Saturday was the birthday of a particular world leader, but I don't let him occupy my time either. I catch up with the foolery that he and his associates do, of course. I'm by no means a supporter, but I don't have to spend every hour of my day mad at him. I don't have to spend every hour of my day worried about him. I don't let that occupy my time either. Because again, what am I doing? giving you solutions that can help you prepare for the problems that are going to come from Project 2025. Confidence with Love and I spent time telling folks in advance what was going to happen. So I redirected some of that time in the middle to shore up some things. And there's things I can talk about, but again, if you're not of a mind where you're going to redirect time, you're not going to get the most of it. You still have to choose to apply. So I've talked about what I've done with my time. Now I've talked about what is not part of my time. And if either one of those things is attractive to you, this is going to be a channel where we do our best. I'll take you along. You can see some of the things that I do instead of talking about what everybody else is doing. Next video, I'll probably put this out tomorrow. So we're going to get to Juneteenth. Do y'all know about the wisdom of Ulysses S. Grant? That'll probably be out tomorrow or the next day. This one is long enough. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.